Do I remember Trapt? Yeah, how could I possibly forget? There was this guy that I really looked up to a few grades above me. He would always look out for me, give me these mixed CDs or else a new album and say, go check this out. And then one day, I remember in the hallway, he handed me this Trapt album and he said, go home, give this one a listen. So I ripped it for myself, I give it a listen, and I never spoke to that guy ever again. That was the end of our friendship, right there on the spot, and I think it's the day that I started making better life decisions.
Do you remember Trapt? If you don't, I'm a bit jealous. Seriously, you don't know how jealous I am after this. It's time to look at Trapt and why they are worth regretting. Besides all the obvious reasons you are probably aware of. Let's go back to 2002. Post-grunge was thriving and everyone was searching for the next big new metal band. These were the days that CDs sold like crazy regardless of band or artist, and radio popularity was still huge to find new music on rock stations. And in the midst of new up-and-comers taking the rock world by storm, along came a very extremely basic band that could not be escaped. Trapt, a band originally from California that made their major record label debut in 2002 with a self-titled album running 53 minutes across 11 tracks. On surface, it's about as ordinary of a rock album release as you can imagine, but bolstered by the storm of radio play that one big song received, Trapt became wildly successful and quickly. Produced by Trapt and Gigi Garth, who also worked with Rage Against the Machine and Red Hot Chili Peppers, which is a huge talent drop-off to go from Rage to Trapt. The album is the perfect description of what, at the time, was known as a CDR band. What's a CDR band? This is a CDR band. Back in 2002, when home recording was finally common for blank CDs, Trapt would be the perfect band for this. You don't care enough about the song Headstrong to go out and buy the CD yourself, but you know a guy who had a friend who had a brother who did buy it. And that was copied several times over. So then you had Trapt's self-titled album in your library. And then it's stuck on your computer for years like a shame-filled time capsule. And while that definitely was true of Trapt, that did not stop the album from selling well. An unknown band came in kicking down the door. Trapt's self-titled album would be certified gold and eventually platinum in just over 1 year. God has a hilarious sense of humor. Based off the strength of a cheesy hook in Back Off I'll Take You On, which is the frat boy anthem of every spoiled college kid ever, the album would also reach number 42 on Billboard's Top 200 Albums chart. That is impressive for a new rock band to achieve at a time where pop and hip-hop were dominating, and roughly 2 years later, Trapt completely fell off the radar. Radio play and follow-up albums were ignored, even though the band name Trapt continued, led by singer and bassist. And that's where we get to what most of you have come to this video for. We need to talk about Chris T. Brown. Chris T. Brown. I know the T stands for Taylor, but I'm gonna refer to Chris T. Brown as Chris Trashbag Brown from now on. Trashbag Brown has been at the helm of Trapt for roughly 20 years now, and through this, Trapt has released 8 studio albums. 8. There have been 8 Trapt albums and barely anyone knows. Mr. Brown, which is another apt name for the guy, has only recently come to light in the public eye after making a spectacle of himself online through social media and being openly hostile to anyone who disagrees with his political stances. This includes supporting Donald Trump as the greatest president in United States history, supporting the Proud Boys and offering to play a free concert for them, using the Trapt Facebook account to create their own nationalist party, wishing death on Black Lives Matter's protesters and repeatedly saying that there is no such thing as systemic racism, stating white privilege does not exist, and many more examples of rampant racist ideologies. There have been many videos and articles about Chris Trashbag Brown and his attention-seeking antics over the past year. The purpose of this video is to talk about the self-titled album from Trapt. However, this album truly is something that cannot be discussed without taking into effect the person who wrote the lyrics. That'll make more sense as it goes on, but spoiler, Trashbag Brown has no self-awareness. Along with that, I want to point out that Chris Trashbag Brown and the band, or the members at the time, were trying to seem much deeper and smarter than they actually are. The best example of this being the album cover. Looks pretty lame and generic, right? Just a man mowing the lawn. In an interview with VH1, Chris Trashbag Brown said the picture of a man mowing a lawn was selected to show the choices and results an individual can make in life. What? That doesn't even make any sense. To mow or not to mow? Those are the decisions? Ugh. Can't even get past the album cover. And when I said members at the time, Trapt has gone through many guitarists and drummers. So many, in fact, that after years, current member Brendan Hengle said, screw it, I'll just play guitar, and then they found another drummer. I don't know if I've ever seen that before with a band. Also, it's a testament to Trapt's music not exactly being hard to learn or play. As of now, Trapt are living off streaming royalties on Pandora and Spotify from Headstrong being automatically placed in playlists that no one asked for. It's not adding up to much, however, as the band couldn't even afford to pay their album artwork artist on time for their 2020 album Shadow Wank. Trapt only has the past to relish in, and it's a regrettable one.
I mean, I know the Headstrong song. I was pretty young when it came out. Pretty much the only reason why I remember it now is because they continue to play it at like karaoke bars or pool halls. And like when they play it at like say like a karaoke bar or something like that, it's usually toward the end of the night and people enjoy it for about a minute, but then it gets awkward kind of because it's just so bad. And then just everyone leaves at that point. You know, it's a really good song to get everyone out at closing time.
So why is Trapt's self-titled platinum-selling album worth regretting? Let's go track by track and see just how bad things get. Please subscribe and hit the like button below right now before I start. I think I've earned it early in the video this time for what I had to listen to in making this. The opening track on Trapt's self-titled album is their Ticket to Fame. It's the band's biggest hit by a long shot and instantly identifiable to most rock fans regardless of age. No matter what type of rock you are into, you know Headstrong. That's a big deal. Not only did Headstrong reach #1 on the Billboard mainstream rock chart, but it also reached #4 on Billboard's top 40. Headstrong was eventually named the #1 rock song on Billboard's mainstream rock chart year-end list for 2003. That is huge for a new rock band at the time to chart that significantly high. And while that success is massive and it happened quickly, it happened on the first track on the band's major label debut. Meaning, Trapt literally peaked on their first track on their first major album. It was all downhill from there on a steep decline after 2003. No matter what jokes I make or what one-liners will be in the comments, nothing is worse than knowing they peaked after their first track on their first big album. Headstrong is instantly memorable, and it's just not good. The guitar riff is sloppy. Listen to it. How did that make it out of the studio? I'm just talking on the technical level, by the way. It sounds like Simon Ormandy hits the frets awkwardly and the band just said, good enough. Not to mention, the riff is shockingly lazy. Some Trapt defenders will say that just because it's simple doesn't make it bad. Well, there's a difference between simplicity and laziness. This is just uncreative and lazy. Then we get to the lyrics. Remember that Headstrong was the first real introduction to Trapt for roughly 99% of rock fans in the world. It's a mess. It revolves around decisions, much like that, explanation about the album cover. People making decisions and being headstrong to take on someone you know is wrong and not backing down from them. It is not Trapt's worst song by a long shot, and at least it's memorable, but along with the bad, lazy riff is the single most damaging quality about Trapt. Chris Trashbag Brown cannot sing. This man cannot sing. He is incapable of singing. He sounds like he's groaning out every lyric, but also as if he just got done stubbing his toe in the chorus when he butt rocks his voice out to moaning out each word. I know I'm not giving much new information on the fact that the man is not a talented vocalist, but it's not that he just isn't good compared to others. It's that he's actually untrained and unable to hit any notes with his voice. He sucks. All right, that's a bit over 4 minutes down. Long ride to go. And I think you have an idea what you're in for. Made of Glass, which Yeah, that sounds like Trashbag Brown to the letter. Made of Glass opens with some clear, solid bass work and the line, "I don't know anything at all." I can't, guys. I just can't make that up. It has the na-nas. This is the cross between a bar band song in the Midwest and the groaniest filler you can imagine from the mid-2000s. Every time a music fan says they don't like rock or metal, a song like this could list off many arguments why. Trashbag's vocals sound winded almost, like he can't keep up. Mixing is awful here, but again, it was 2003, and this album and song wasn't made to be perfect. A track like this was just done during an hour to add time onto the LP, and it's just empty, and the lyrics are what a college frat boy would think is deep.
Yes. Unfortunately, I do remember Trapt. For one unfortunate summer, in the year of 2003, I was very, very briefly a Trapt fan. There's even pictures of me wearing a Trapt t-shirt. To be fair, the shirt was only $7. Even brand spanking new, that merch and that album were like selling in the bargain bin. Like nobody really wanted it, but I don't know. The album, I paid like less than $10 for the album, less than $7 for the shirt. I don't know. Before we knew everything we knew about them, I guess I was a fan for a very brief, very short, very insubstantial time in my life.
So what you're saying is you love Trapt?
This interview is over.
No, back off! I'll take you on!
Hollow Man has some flourishes of decent guitar work and riffs and moments that are very radio-tastic, to say the least. Then it shifts gears into totally different sounds with more prominent bass and for some awkward guitar play that makes it feel like they're trying to do two different songs at the same time. It's like they're trying to put more effort into this, but it resulted in a big mess. The biggest problem, though, is another groan fest from Trashbag Brown. Here's where he tries to get loud and has some force in his performance, and it all sounds goofy. Lyrically, it's all about liars and fake people and not wanting to be like them at all, and do I need to say anything? I mean, fill in your own joke on that one. Then at 4 minutes he gets angry, and it's kind of adorable. Honestly, this guy trying to fake anger is kind of awesome to hear in a weird way. It also doesn't help that the song is 5 minutes long, and it does not need to be. How in the world does this guy groan for one song that long? Wouldn't his throat be shot after just one butt rock performance of this? These Walls is next, and within the first 30 seconds or so, it sounds like a totally different band, with Trapt trying to sound like a mid-90s alternative group. But then they can't help themselves and give some generic riffs and volume. The instrumentals are either basic or bad depending on which sequence of the song you're listening to. It's so hard to describe unless you hear it, and YouTube won't let me play full clips anymore, but the song really is Trapt trying to combine a 90s alternative sitcom style song with muddy butt rock nu metal. Some of the alternative lighter parts are actually mixed better, which is hilarious when you think about it, because Trapt is desperately trying to be angry and deep, and oh man, it just never comes off well. Then we get to Still Frame, and this is where I have to point out a big accomplishment for Trapt. Still Frame charted well on the Billboard Hot 100 and also reached #1 on Billboard's mainstream rock chart. While Trapt is known as a one-hit wonder for Headstrong, than for other terrible reasons, in the rock world, it's not accurate to call him a one-hit wonder. It's not. The first two singles from the self-titled album reached #1. In that 2003 time frame when amazing music was pouring in, a lot of radio stations chose this song. Rock has suffered ever since. All joking aside, I really do think this song is better than Headstrong. It's not as memorable in the sense of a big hook with Trashbag groaning out that he'll take on anyone, but Still Frame works with his awful voice a little bit better. When Mr. Brown is not forcing his volume, he can ride the melody a little bit more. You know, like a singer should do. Still Frame flows better than Headstrong as a single and in guitar work. This might be the best track on the album. I know, high bar to get over. But is this song worthy of reaching #1 on the rock charts? No. Oh, mercy. No, not even close. The music video for Still Frame is also a time capsule in that early 2000s band's playing in front of a green screen, going frame by frame, trying to look cool. Everything about this just screams, "Look, we're cool too!" Which, oddly enough, they're still desperately screaming somehow. This might be Trapt's best. Honestly, it's barely above mediocre too. I don't know how else to polish this one for the sake of fairness, because it's better than other songs on the album, but that doesn't make it good. Their very best is barely mediocre, and they only were able to do it once. Oh. Echo, the third and final single to come from this album, thank God. And I take back what I said about Trashbag Brown being able to sing better when he's not forcing his words out. His clean singing is awful. Extremely bad. He sounds like he's sick. Well, he is sick. I mean, he sounds like he's singing with a cold or something. Lyrically, it's asking someone special to let go of their pride and to move on together, and yeah, I can see why he's not a hit with the ladies. Trashbag needs to say some of the lyrics to himself a bit about letting go and moving on. I don't think he's capable, but he could at least try. The music is boring, the song is repetitive, everything you would imagine. I'm not even sure why this was a single in 2004. Even by then, people had moved on from Trapt. There is nothing special here. I'm still blown away this sold as a single and charted on several rock charts. I'm surprised Trapt sold at all now that I think about it, and how Trapt really was that CDR band.
Yeah, I do remember. I remember our team had gone on ahead to provide scouting, and then we showed up. Yet something had gone wrong. We were getting jammed, something was going off. It looks like our reconnaissance team had failed. And then I remember looking at our commander, and I remember hearing the tremble in his bark, his exclamation. It would resonate in my mind. He said, "It's a shot!" Chilling. Oh, wait. You're talking about the early 2000s band Trapt? You're serious? Anyone still cares about them? Really? Nah, I never even got into them. Even before I knew that their frontman Chris Brown was a fascist.
The Game is another track running over 5 minutes, and I will never ask for bands to make longer songs ever again. I learned my lesson. The bass and drum combo is something different, which I mean as a positive. The guitar has lowered volume so the rhythm section stands out a little bit more, but it's Brown that brings this to a crawl. His strained voice as the song goes on makes you beg for a better singer. Lyrically, The Game is about toxic people and the loop they fall in being awful to others, closing themselves off, and then going out again for the need to be with someone just to do it all over. Endless cycle. I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure this is another case of Trashbag Brown needing to take his own advice. Also, 5 minutes? Really? You needed to stretch this message out while not listening to it yourself? We then go into one of the most butt rock filler songs I've ever heard in my life. Don't get me wrong, not all butt rock is terrible and it's an unfortunate name, but when all is said is done, insults butt rock, that's a problem. This is one of the laziest written, most unimaginative songs I've ever heard in my life, and that is not an exaggeration. The guitar riff is one note. Trashbag is whining out notes when he's not grunting. Everything about this song feels like a stock rock track that was floating around in the studio files. It's an insult to 2002 and 2003's music, as well as bands at that time who were actually trying to make a real song and don't just strum and fake it for a few minutes to flesh out album time. It's mind-numbing. This was literally the point where my brain started smoothing out in my skull. Ugh. Speaking of smoothed out brain in a skull, Chris Trashbag Brown! Enigma opens up a bit slower and tries to set a serious tone. Sorry, I'm trying not to laugh when I go through this, but Trapt being taken serious just isn't gonna happen. The song goes from low volume and whisper vocals to shouting loud and raised volume across the board at a moment's notice. No transition, just real quiet to a blast of audio vomit. Enigma also has a great example of another problem in here in Trapt self-titled, in that every time the band attempts a bridge on a song on this album, that it's short and it absolutely sucks. I honestly wonder what the writing process was for guys like these, outside of them just drinking Pabst Blue Ribbon and crushing cans on their heads, hoping to impress people with how smart they are. That's still most likely the same for Trapt's current writing process as well, but whatever. Stories has a quick acoustic guitar, which I like, but then Trashbag starts singing and I'm just done. I don't know how much more I can add to this argument that his voice clashes with every song style because he doesn't know how to sing. He cannot project or carry a note. I feel like this track could have been something if sang by someone different and the lyrics weren't a brain-dead track about moving on from the same old and changing. Again, the man needs to take his own advice. The song also has plenty of la-las and doot-doos. La-las and doot-doos. I mean, I guess we should be thankful he's not being racist at this moment with this song.
Trapt.
Yeah, Trapt.
Trapped.
No.
No, never heard of them. We only have good rock bands in the UK.
Finally, we get to New Beginning. This is kind of a two-part track on the album. The actual song section starts off with a bit more creativity than the massive amount of stock first-year guitar riffs that were heard in the past 30 minutes. You can tell the band is trying a little bit more to end things well. The same problems persist though, with whiny lyrics about how other people get in the way and it's time to move on, and the varied guitar work just comes to a stop at the music chugga-chugs along, while Trashbag tries to get loud and impressive, but just sounds like he's hacking something out of his throat. It would be a lame way to end an album, but it's Trapt, so they gotta make it worse. The last 5 minutes of the album on this track is labeled as ambient, low-sounding music with single notes being looped and people just speaking gibberish. Literally, the song is labeled as gibberish with repeated notes for 5 minutes. For nothing. It does nothing. 5 minutes of being pretentious and lazy. It's a waste of time, just like every single thing Trapt has done. This album was shocking. I don't know of an album I've covered here that had such a basic, minimal writing and creativity with a terrible vocalist who is desperate to sound deep and insightful. Instead, he just sounds as deep as a kiddie pool. Everything about this is shameless and an example of a man trying to be seen as a big deal and tough, but it's absolutely insincere and fake. Not to mention, this man doesn't realize he is the reason Trapt is not seen as anything anymore. Honestly, guitarist Simon Armandi on this self-title had flourishes of work and melodies, and he tried to change tuning and styles, but it wouldn't last. The drums and bass are present, but not good or flat out bad at moments. It's just there, but it's Brown who drowns the whole thing. If you would have put any other singer on top of this, it would have stood out better. However, that means the lyrics would be changed, and that would have made this album exponentially better. To sum up, the music is mediocre, some of the instruments are played fine in parts, but in other parts they are first-year lesson quality or flat out bad. The vocals, you get the point by now. Trapt owe their lives to the year 2003 and radio DJs. This is one of the luckiest bands I've ever heard of. I'm talking four-leaf clovers growing out of their skin levels of luck. And one song made a career for a band with a stupid name and a singer who sounds like he's pulling a hernia, lifting something heavy while he sings. Headstrong! Trapt's self-titled album is worth regretting, because it proves that radio and labels decided this should get pushed even though there was better music out there and they knew it. Trapt's self-titled album is also regrettable because it wasn't good. And because the main person behind it is a racist coward. But no matter what I've said in this video about the music, the lack of talent, how Trapt's popularity plummeted after 1 year, the band's online antics, nothing I can say or do would be as inflammatory or discrediting as what has been said by Chris Trashbag Brown on the Trapt Twitter account.
The nerds in Consequence find the moment with the least amount of people front of stage, like the first song of an opening set, to prove no one showed up to this. Am I Trump or something? These metalcore music sites are formerly bullied adult kids trying to turn the tables.
Easy to fill up that space when you have 50 Harleys there, you loser.
MAGA Coalition is most diverse, widest, and deepest part of electorate. President Trump's army consists of every creed, color, race, gender, ethnicity, orientation, truly colorblind coalition of middle America patriots, middle-class voters, not special interest groups.
Trump's army sucks and so do you.
You are brainwashed by the same people who own our media. Germany is so subservient. You let Muslim men rape children or other women and do nothing about it. Total cucks. You and the Sweden.
What a psycho.
Black Lives Matter has to be the most vocally racist group in the United States, expecting white people to take knees for them as they stand above these white people, expecting apologies from people who had nothing to do with the horrible past that America atoned for in the mid-60s.
Not making a good case for yourself.
Some of you intolerant liberals are insane, especially the ones in band space, Palm. The guy refused to get into the cop car. It took 4 cops to subdue the guy. Dude was partly responsible for his death. The one cop was mostly responsible, and a jury will decide what happens to him.
Wow, this guy is desperate to be racist.
R&B singer Nao said 50 states are protesting. This man changed the world for the better. I want to personally thank George Floyd for his sacrifice, so my kids can be alright later on. I appreciate the sacrifice, my brother. I genuinely do. Nao, your rich AF kids don't have to worry.
How does this guy live with himself?
I wish BLM would change their name to the proper acronym, MWI. Mostly white idiots.
Your clan hood is showing.
Proud Boys are 100% against racism. Same people who make up Trump's movement are the people in PBs. Trump got the highest people of color vote since 1960. Only group he lost? White people. As a guy who grew up with his Mexican side of the family, I wouldn't be a part of it otherwise.
You can be half Mexican and racist, you moron.
Charging up my phone before I go work out. My industry is pretty much closed down right now, and I have my Proud Boys to promote.
Maybe you could also spend some time taking some singing lessons.
Seriously? It originated out of China, just as the African swine flu that decimated your pork industry. What we are dealing with here is a Chinese coronavirus. It's not racism to state the origin of a virus. Ridiculous.
That's racist and you know it.
Some of these virtue signalers acting like George Floyd was their actual brother. 50% of police killings every year are of white people. Yet no one cares that a white man dies by cop because mainstream media didn't tell them to. All lives are equally important. No. COVID, same deal.
Don't blame mainstream media for your racism.
You both are easily brainwashed. 10 unarmed black people killed by cops last year. Hardly an issue. 6 of them attacked the officers, 1 with a car. This year will be even less. 48 cops murdered last year, more than all unarmed people killed by police combined. Stop virtue signaling.
You would know brainwashed, you Proud Boy loving Trump bootlicker.
Damn, Ice-T is threatening me for saying Trapt has much higher streaming numbers. You can't make this shit up. I said he was a great actor. Body Count is a great group as well. Been around for a long time. Just don't have the numbers Trapt does. Kick my ass for it, though. Please don't hurt me. Please don't hurt me.
Ice-T would destroy you.
Fuck you both. I dare anyone to run up on me. They will hugely regret it. Tell my mom on you.
No one in the world is intimidated by you.
No one is going to do shit or they will get hurt. Badly. And it will be in self-defense.
What are you gonna do, tweet at him?
I will make more money than you on any given weekend than you can make in 5 years. You are a massive loser, bottom of society's barrel, scum on the bottom of my shoe.
You can't even pay your album cover artist, you liar.
Someone tell Tom Morello that a political science degree without a law degree means nothing. Anyone can read about politics and decide what it means to them without an instructor. They don't need to be taught this, unlike, say, STEM majors. Tom, communism has never worked.
You wish you had as many fans as Tom Morello. Or a degree.
What an ignorant man you are, Rob Thomas. You really need to shut your mouth unless you know what you're talking about. Whitmer's kidnappers were anarchists who hated cops. More along the lines of Antifa. Definitely not Trump supporters. They hate any government, you dunce.
You're the only dunce in that conversation.
Hashtag white privilege does not exist. Hashtag don't be a victim. Hashtag Trump. Hashtag MAGA. Hashtag CAG.
Don't ever ask me to talk about Trapt again. I'm done. And that was a look at why Trapt should be regretted. Do you like Trapt? Why? Seriously, explain. I don't understand why. Big thanks to my patrons and a special thanks to Brandon Barenfeld, Chris Doman, McKenna White, and Dom Smith. You can have a say in upcoming videos and see videos early by supporting Rocked on Patreon. Just $2 a month goes a long way. Click the link in the video description for more info. Please subscribe and ring the bell to get notified on upcoming videos. You can check out my concert photography on Instagram, and you can keep up to date with Rocked on Facebook and Twitter.